So, who am I and what do I do? So, I'm Sarah Burgess. I'm the founder of Outland Academy Marketing, and I have been in digital marketing and e-commerce for over 10 years now. So I started out actually working in the retail fashion sector. So I started out at ASOS.com, which is the largest UK online fashion retailer. And it's really there that I started to learn about the connection between social media and e-commerce. And I learned a great deal there. I was actually there for 6 years, and it was when it was kind of becoming a big company. And yeah, social media played a huge, huge part in their success. Since then, I've worked for quite a few different multi-million turnover e-commerce businesses where social media has played a huge, huge part in the success of their businesses. But my personal passion has actually always been for small and local businesses. So that's why I started Outland Academy Marketing, so that I could actually teach the techniques that I'd learned at these huge businesses and actually share those strategies with small businesses who have obviously a much smaller budget. So I do one-on-one coaching, group training, and I run online courses. So at Outland Academy Marketing, I am so lucky that I get to work with a huge range of clients. So I work with lots of rural clients actually. So my partner's a farmer, we live on a farm. And through that, I have lots of kind of country connections. So I work with quite a few sort of farm shops and things like that. I also work with some startups. So, you know, businesses that are actually in the tech sector, which is totally different. And then I work with some craftspeople, which I know the handmade community is all about. So it's lovely to run this webinar today. And I also work with a lot of local businesses. So local coffee shops and delis and butchers and things like that. And so the things that I teach how to grow and sell online. And I've always taught digital marketing. However, social media has just become a key focus of that, and specifically Instagram, because Instagram just seems to be such an amazing platform for small businesses to thrive on. So I have over 20,000 followers across my Instagram channels, and actually 90% of my business comes through Instagram, which people always find really surprising. But it's true, and it's been such an amazing platform for me that I actually love teaching other people how to do the same. So why is Instagram such an important platform for your business? Well, so there are over 1 billion monthly users, which is massive. And 60% of online adults actually admit to visiting daily. And I know me, and I know everyone I know visits Instagram more than once daily. So you've got an audience who are very engaged with the platform. And amongst those people are your ideal customers, which is good to know. And the amazing thing about Instagram is that you have so much opportunity to actually reach them organically. So without having to pay, there's huge opportunity to reach your ideal customers, which is just amazing. And if you do want to use ads, you can actually target very, very specifically, which is amazing because it's actually very cost effective, and it's a really good way of converting people. So what are we going to cover in this webinar? So in this webinar, we're going to identify who your ideal customer is, how to find them on Instagram, how to make sure they can actually find you on Instagram, and how to engage with them and build trust. So first off, who is your ideal follower? So to identify your ideal follower, you want to be thinking about the following things. So what age are they? What gender are they? What are their interests? What other brands are they interested in? What's their family situation? Do they have a family? Do they have children? Are they married? What's their occupation? Do they have an occupation? Maybe they're retired. And who do they buy for? Are they buying for themselves or are they buying for other people? And where do they live? What's their location? What's their approximate income? What kind of magazines and books are they reading? What are their online habits? Are they shopping online? Are they doing research online? And what's important to them? So thinking about if they're buying something, is it price that's important? Is it quality? Is it service? What are those important factors to them? And how do they shop? Do they shop usually online? Do they shop in store? Do they shop at markets, craft fairs? What's their normal pattern of shopping? So that's kind of a lot of questions. So I'm just going to take you through kind of some ideas of how you can actually answer these questions and identify who that ideal follower is. So first off, really thinking about your own observations. So if you have been selling in the past and you have a business at the moment, who's bought from you before? Who have you actually met face to face? So who's bought at markets, at fairs, in store? Who are those people? Who are those clients? And note down your observations. So have a think about who they are and just write it down so that you have that in a list. And then the thing to do is to actually look at the similarities and trends that you notice between those people who are buying from you. And the thing is, if you're not selling yourself yet, you can always look at your competitors and see who's buying from them. And even if you are selling already, have a look at your competitors and see who's buying from them, because that can be really useful in identifying who your audience are. So asking your customers can be a really good thing to do. Sort of having that relationship and actually talking to your audience, you'll find out so much information that you never knew before. So something you can do is create an online questionnaire. So I always think that Google Forms is a really easy way of doing this. Obviously, don't create a Google form with all of those questions on it that I talked about before, because that's just going to be overwhelming. And some of those questions are very personal. So just be careful in how many questions you're asking them. But, you know, create a questionnaire and send that out in an email, in a direct message, or you can call them, or you could ask them in person. And it's nice to kind of offer something in return for that. So, you know, whether it's kind of a discount on a product or a product itself or anything like that, or an entry into a competition to win a product, something like that is really nice, because not only will it mean more people will complete it, but it gives it a little bit of nice, a nice edge to it. And then again, review those trends of actually of what the customers are saying, because that's how you're ultimately going to understand who that core customer is. So now we're diving a little bit deeper into actually Instagram. So have a think about who your current followers are and actually take a look. So who already follows you on Instagram? It's time now to do a little bit of stalking. So you want to take a look at their grid, watch their stories, have a look at everything they're doing, because you want to really understand who these people are who are already following you, especially the ones who are frequently engaging with your content. And take a look at who else they follow, because that will give you a really good idea of other brands that they like. And this is a really important one. What hashtags do they use? It's really key to understand what hashtags your audience are using, because when you're creating your own hashtags, it's all well and good kind of thinking you think a hashtag should be, but what are your audience actually using? And again, have a look at the themes that you see across multiple profiles. And if you look at enough people, you will start to see themes coming through. And in the same vein, you know, look at your competitors' followers. So identify who your competitors are to start with, and then take a look and see actually who is following them. Because if they're interested in your competitors and you sell a similar product, they're probably going to be interested in you as well. So what I would suggest is having a look at the people who really engage with them. So have a look at their most recent posts and see who's liking those posts and who's commenting on those posts. And just take a look at those people's profiles, because they are ultimately going to be interested in your product as well, if you've identified your competitors correctly. And again, look at those themes that you notice in these people. So another thing that can really help you is website analytics. So if you have your own website, I highly, highly recommend, if you don't already have Google Analytics on your site, I would add Google Analytics to your site. It can give you so much insight into who's coming to your website, where they're coming from, who they are, what location they're in. There's so much insight there. So if you do have your own website, for me, it's a must to have Google Analytics. And if you have a website, say Wix, Squarespace, Shopify, something like that, they do have their own analytics, which can tell you a certain amount. But again, I would say, even if you have one of those websites that has the inbuilt analytics, I would also add Google Analytics, just because it gives you that extra level and the extra level of detail. And so Instagram Insights can be really helpful. So first off, you need to have a business profile to be able to see Instagram Insights. If you're running a business, you should have a business profile. So if you currently have a personal profile, make sure that you switch that over to being a business profile, because you just get so much more. So when you look at the insights, you can actually see an audience tab. You can see who your audience are. You can see your top locations. You can see your age range, the gender. And here's just a little insight into mine for my business account. So you can see here, top location. So my top location is actually London. And the age range for me is 25 to 34 and 35 to 44. And the gender, you can't see because it's cut it off there, but it's actually a split of 66% women. So for me, that's really key to know that kind of information when I'm creating content. And if you are running ads in terms of targeting, you need to know this information of the areas, of the ages, of the gender that you want to be targeting, so that you don't waste any money. So we've talked about who your audience are, but how do you find them specifically on that Instagram platform? So first off, via hashtags. Hashtags are amazing, and they're a really, really good way of finding your audience. So if you want to find hashtags, you click onto this looking glass at the bottom, magnifying glass, to search. And then there's a search bar at the top. So you can type in your hashtags here. So for my business, I work with a lot of small businesses. So I might use a hashtag like small business owner. And then underneath, you will see all of the top posts that come up for that. So that's hashtags, but that's also including accounts. So then I would click tags, and that will then show me all of the hashtags, and I can click into that specific hashtag. So it will first bring you to the top posts. Now, top posts are great because you can see what content's performing really well, but in terms of actually finding your audience, these top people are less likely to be your audience, depending on what industry you're in. But as you can see, there are 5 million posts on this hashtag. So the posts that are getting really noticed and seen on that are going to be doing really, really well. So you can actually click into recent, and this is what I would suggest doing. Now you can see the most recent posts, and what I would do is I would click into the first post, and then I would scroll down through that, and I would have a look at all of the people who are posting on this hashtag, and take a look at their profiles, see who they are, and if they seem like your ideal audience member, or someone who would be interested in following you, or someone who would be interested in buying your product, then follow them, or put a comment on their picture, like their picture, and interact with them. So you can do the same via locations, which is really great, especially if you're a local business. So in the same way, you go on that looking glass, you then search, and then you click into places, and it will come up with near current location. So if you're a business that's based in a specific location and you're at that location at the time, you can click near current location, and it will bring up a whole list of locations near you. Or you can search. So if I put in Bristol, for example, I can then click into Bristol, and anyone who's posted and tagged Bristol, I will then be able to see their posts. So here at the top, so you can tag locations into stories and feed posts. So at the top here, in this circle, this is where the stories are. So stories are discoverable. So if you're using a location in a story, you have the potential to actually appear on that location. So you can appear up there, and then anyone looking at the Bristol location will actually be able to potentially see your story. And so again, you can see we land on the top page. So this is mostly kind of dominated by influencers and things like that, who probably, again, are probably maybe not your audience. So again, click into recent. And then you'll see the recent posts of people in the area, which is probably more likely to be your audience. So again, do the same thing as with the hashtags and click in, scroll down, and then just interact so that you get their attention. So we've already kind of touched on this, talking about who's following your competitors, but it is really key to have a look at who is following your competitors, because they will be the people who are also interested in your product. So go onto their Instagram pages, see who's following them, and if they seem like someone who would be interested in your business as well, then follow them, like their posts, interact with them, introduce yourself. If you don't feel totally confident kind of going after your competitor's audience, and you shouldn't feel that way, don't feel like that, because other businesses won't be afraid of doing that to you. So if you don't feel like that, or another way of approaching it is that you can find other businesses that have a similar audience. So by that, here are some examples of what I mean. So if you have a local country store, our local riding stables might have a similar clientele. You know, people who are looking for riding hats, riding boots, something like that would be at a local riding stables, and that audience could benefit the country store. Equally with a hairdresser, if there was a hairdresser in a local town, a local beauty salon might have a similar audience. And the same for a gym. So if there was a gym, people are obviously interested in keeping healthy, then a health food store might do well looking at that gym's audience. So it's all just thinking about kind of what is a similar business to yours. So we've talked about finding your ideal audience, but how can they find you? So with Instagram, it's so important to be as discoverable as possible. You want people to be able to find you when they're looking for a specific product or service. So again, via hashtags. So when you're using hashtags, you need to make your content discoverable. So make sure that you add them to your feed posts and your stories. And we talked about how to find them earlier and find kind of the right hashtags to use. You can actually add up to 30 hashtags per post, and you can add 10 hashtags per story, but I do not suggest that you do that. You're going to look super spammy if you do that. So don't do that. I would say use between 10, 15, maybe 20 at a push in a story post, but you don't want to be using too many, because the purpose of them is to catalog content so that people can find what they're looking for. So you want to be making sure that you're using really relevant hashtags so that people can actually find what they're looking for, and you're not looking spammy to Instagram. So which hashtags are you going to actually use on your content? So first of all, we discussed earlier what actually are your ideal followers using. That will be really important, because those people are your community. They might be using community hashtags. And I think with the hashtag handmade hour, that is now a whole community of people using that hashtag. So you know that sort of craftspeople and makers actually using that specific hashtag to find each other. So have a think about what keywords are actually relevant to your industry or niche. And also what are your competitors using? And also what hashtags are suggested. So when you're using that search function and you're typing in hashtags that you think are relevant to your industry, what's coming up underneath? And this is probably the most important one. So what hashtags are hyper relevant to that image or video? So as I said, Instagram uses hashtags to catalog the media. So, you know, what is the actual image showing? If it's a picture of a flower, use hashtag flower, but also use what that specific flower is. You want to be really specific with your hashtag so that people can find them. So this is going back to that example from before of small business owner. So when you click into tags, you can see all of the different hashtags that are actually coming up. And you can see actually that this small business owner actually has 5 million posts. Now that is a lot of posts on a hashtag. Whereas something like small business owners rock has 5.5 thousand. So that's quite a big difference. The reason I bring this up is because when there are lots and lots of posts on a hashtag, content can just become lost. So if people are posting constantly, your content will just get washed away in kind of a sea of content, and it won't appear for very long. And also you don't stand as much of a chance of showing up in those top squares. So have a look at the numbers and have a think, will your image be lost in a sea of other images? And are you likely to get featured in that top grid? So what I would suggest is having a look at a hashtag and actually clicking into the top post and seeing how many likes, how many comments those posts are actually getting that have made it into the top grid. If it's something that you think your post could achieve, then definitely use that hashtag if it's relevant to the image. So I just got a little example of this. So this is Small Business Owners Club. So there are 20.1 thousand posts on this hashtag. So if I take this picture of, I think it's soap, and have a look at it. So it's got 178 likes to make it to that page, and it's got 16 comments. So if I felt like my content could compete against that to get onto the top squares, I would probably consider it as a hashtag to use. So another way that people can find you is via location. So we talked about finding people via locations. Well, they can find you as well. So geotag your location. That's super important. So add your location to all of your posts. If you're doing a post tag where you are, because you have the chance of showing up and it just gives you extra exposure. And also definitely tag your location into your stories, because again, as you saw at the top of those hashtags and the top of those locations, you actually have the story posts that people watch. And often if you are tagging those in and you're getting featured in the story, you'll actually see that you appear in that story, and you'll see how many views you actually get from appearing in that story. And it just gives you the opportunity, if you're going to the effort to create a story, you want it to be seen by as many people as possible, and that's a really good way of broadening your reach. So yeah, it just enables you to be discoverable. And so how to do that in stories? So you just click here, click add location, and then you can either click on this arrow, which will add the location that you're in, or you can search. So another really, really good way of getting your content out there, and this is just one of the best ways, is via other accounts sharing your content. I can't stress enough how this can help you grow. So the first step to getting other accounts to share your content is actually to create shareable content. So have a look at the top posts for the hashtags that you've decided fit your business, and then create similar content to that, because that's obviously performing well for a reason. People are engaging with it, people are enjoying it. So create some similar content and see how it performs. Also consider your color choices. So have a think about your audience and have a think about the colors that they like. I mean, I feel like the Handmade Hour audience really like bright colors, and that really fits with that audience, and people will want to share things with bright colors. Whereas if you were in kind of maybe more of a natural food business or something like that, or organic products business, you might think about using more kind of muted colors. If you're just kind of trying to think about what people would be happy to share on their own feeds and in their own stories. And it really is about trial and error. See what works for your audience and do more of it. It's so true that if you find something that works, do more, because your audience are obviously enjoying and engaging with that content. You need to do what your audience are looking for. So here are just kind of a few ideas of content that is known to be very shareable on Instagram. So sharing stats and facts. So specific things to your industry can be really interesting to your audience. So if you do have specific stats and facts that you know, then you can definitely share those. I wouldn't suggest creating a whole kind of piece in a post, but you could just share kind of either a pull quote or a number in a post, and then in the caption below you can actually explain more about it. But keep it kind of fun and lighthearted. Post with animals and pets. So I don't suggest that you just use your pet as a kind of a prop or anything like that, but it is known that posts with animals and pets do perform much better than lots of other content. So if you do include that, it does always tend to perform really well. I know that for myself, if I include a picture of my dog or the chickens or the cows or something like that, everyone will, I get a lot of interaction with that. So there's definitely a lot of love for animals and pets if used in the right way on Instagram. So novelty and kind of national holidays. So there are so many of these days now, kind of National Ice Cream Day, National Margarita Day, everything like that, National I Love My Dog Day, everything like that. Any business can find so many of these days that tie in with something that fits their business, and it's a bit of fun and it's easy to interact with. I actually recently shared a picture for National Cow Appreciation Day with my favorite cow, Reggie, and that performed really well. So yeah, that definitely works. Fun and relatable quotes. People love a quote, especially if they can really relate to it. There are so many out there that you can just find on the internet and find something that's relevant. And you can use Canva to put it into your own branding and sort of make it fit with your business. Or you can create your own quotes, but if it's relatable to people in your industry or your audience, then they're definitely going to engage with that. So here are just some content creation resources. I know that sometimes it can just feel like a really big task to be able to come up with enough content to be able to post frequently. So here are a few little tips. So if you need some free stock images, so say you were doing something for National Ice Cream Day, like that picture that I showed you. So I took that from a free stock image site, as I did for most of the slides in this presentation. So you can use Unsplash, Pexels, or Pixabay. All of those are really good sites for free content, and all you need to do is, if you're using it on Instagram, you just need to credit where you got it from and who actually took the picture. But it's just a really good way of being able to have more content, and you know, if you can't actually create it yourself, that content is there. And it's also really great for backgrounds and things like that. If you're looking for more premium images and videos, then you can use something like Shutterstock or Getty Images, and they're brilliant as well. And then for graphic design, I'm sure most of you probably already use it, but Canva is absolutely brilliant just for, it's kind of like a graphic designer in your pocket. I prefer to use the desktop version of it just because I find the mobile version a little bit fiddly. But it's really good, and you can link up the desktop version with the app on your phone. So if you're creating something on your desktop, it syncs with your phone and you can share it directly onto your Instagram. So it's really good for creating anything like those pull quotes. If you wanted to create something, if you wanted to share a review from someone who's left a lovely review about your business, you can use Canva to do that. So collaborating with other businesses. Teaming up is just a brilliant way of getting your voice out there and getting in front of other people. In the way that I've teamed up with Handmade Hour here. So I'm now in front of the Handmade Hour audience, and Owen's audience of Handmade Hour are in front of the Outland Academy audience. It's really brilliant to sort of share your audience when you're trying to reach the same sort of people. So find a like-minded business with similar followers and share each other's content, you know, help each other out. What's really good is that you could run a competition together, and that can help you both to reach new audiences. So a follow, like, and tag competition can work really, really well. You can also use stories to mention other businesses, and you can also get them to reshare. So in case you don't know how to mention, you can add that from stories. It's just this one here. Search for them and just tag them in, and that will enable them to be able to reshare that story in their feed. And that's something really important actually, is to remember to actually use that tag, because if you don't use it, someone can't reshare your story. You can share a feed post, but you cannot reshare a story. The only other way of doing it would be to take a screen grab and share it. But if you're tagging someone in, then they automatically get the option to add it to their story. So this one, working with influencers in your niche. So influencers can give you a really large reach, and they can be very engaged within that niche. So the thing about working with influencers is that it does work for both sides. So the influencers need content and you need exposure. So it can be a very cost-effective way of working. Sometimes an influencer will be happy to work with you in exchange for just a gift of your product. Sometimes if they're bigger, they will want some payment. It really depends. You'll often find, especially at the moment, that people are really willing to help each other. And if you do have a product that you want to share, then you will find that influencers are potentially more likely to kind of want to help you out right now. So you can give them an experience or a product. And when you're working with influencers, what I would say is that you should just really, really do your research, because you want to find the right person for your product. There's no point in working with someone who has a huge following that have no interest in your niche. What you want is, I mean, the number of followers is not the point. What you want is someone who has a very engaged audience in the niche that you're in, or in a very similar niche. And if you are going to work with them, you want to test out different influencers one by one, and then track the results and see what works. And you want to keep a record of that, because some won't work and some will work really, really well. So once you find one that works, you can repeat that process. And it's really important that they understand kind of what to expect and what you expect from them. So setting kind of those rules and boundaries in place of what you expect from them and what they can expect from you. And also make sure that you follow the ASA advertising guidelines to make sure that if a product is gifted, then that's made clear. Also, what you want to do is you want to make sure that they tag you in their promotion, because otherwise Instagram is currently blocking a hashtag if it feels like it's a pay for post that hasn't been labeled in that way. So it's really important to be transparent. So you can reach new followers through Instagram ads. So I have really focused on the organic ways to reach people, because I think that there's so much you can do without paying for ads, but ads on Instagram can be really, really good. So Instagram ads, what's good about them is that you can reach a really large audience, and you can actually manage that budget yourself. So you don't need to be worrying that you're going to spend a whole load of money. You can set exactly how much you want to spend. They are very cost effective. There's a very low cost per click associated with Instagram ads, and they are very targeted. You can easily run them through the Instagram platform by just clicking promote post and then adding in your targeting. But you really, if you are running ads, you really probably do want to be running them through Facebook Business Manager, just because you have so much more control, and you can really, not only can you target certain people, the targeting is so much more specific. So instead of saying, I want to reach people who live in Wales and like walking, you could say, I want to reach people who live in Wales, who like walking, who also like the brand Patagonia. You know, something very niche like that, because if you were a clothing brand who are similar to Patagonia, you want that sort of very specific reach, and you can achieve that through Facebook Business Manager in a way that you can't through Instagram at the moment. So using ads. What I would say about using ads is I would first master the organic or the free side of Instagram. There's so much to understand there, and there's so much that you can achieve without paying for ads, that I would say master that first before you go on to ads. I'd also say truly try and understand your audience before spending any money, because when it comes to ads, the reason they're so good is because they are so targeted. In order to be targeted, you need to understand your audience and learn how to run them through Facebook Business Manager, and really learn that process. Go out of your way to understand how that works, because there's no point in wasting money. The best way to run them is to truly understand that process. it really is definitely the best use of your money. Kind of an exception to that would be if you were running a competition and wanted to have a bit more reach on it, you could boost that, and you could kind of have set an audience through Instagram, and that would still get you a really good reach, and you could still have kind of a really successful promotion through that. So that would be my kind of exception to that. But I really do think that you should master organic, understand your audience before spending any money, and then before you spend money, understand Facebook Business Manager and run it that way. So you found your followers, or they found you, and how do you now engage with them? So first off, creating the kinds of content that they actually want to see. We talked about having a look on the top posts and seeing what's performing, and actually seeing what actually works well with your audience and doing more of that. But again, have a think about what kind of colors appeal to them. What aesthetic pleases your audience? And what kinds of content do they actually like? So do they engage with video? Do they like pictures? You know, maybe they find like boomerangs really interesting. What is it that really kind of engages with them? Or maybe they like to kind of take part in a poll or a Q&A session. It's about creating the content that actually works. I know with the Handmade Hour audience, there's a lot of kind of sharing, and people love having their products shared, and that works really, really well. So it's just about finding what works for your specific audience. So you can showcase with them your most loved product. So if other members of your audience really love a product, then share it and tell them why they love that product so much and what's so amazing about it. You know, if it's a handmade product, really highlight, you know, how it was made and all the specific features of it. So just to show kind of a brand who really understand their audience, Bowden, you can see that they are obviously using lots of bright colors. Their audience like bright colors. They love floral patterns. They're kind of family orientated, and they often place kind of fruits and things in the background of their images because that's the kind of aesthetic they're appealing to. But you can see throughout their feed, there's a consistency of bright pops of color, floral images, family, and lots of smiling. There's lots of smiling on the page, and that's kind of how you think about that brand. Something that can be really engaging is visual how-to tutorials. People love to kind of get behind the scenes and understand how things are done. So a how-to tutorial could be a really interesting way of engaging your audience. Say you're an artist and you're actually showing how to create a specific piece of work. After that, you're very likely to have someone who will want to purchase that piece of work because they've seen the work that goes into it and they feel like they're a part of it. You can share kind of expert tips and tricks that you know about your industry. If you are kind of a craftsperson who teaches things to other craftspeople, sharing little tips and tricks is going to go a long way. And if you're in a specific industry, share news and industry updates from that specific industry. If you know some information first, then you want to be that person that people look to kind of understand what's going on in the wider industry. And I kind of touched on this before, but behind the scenes content, people love seeing what goes on behind the scenes in people's businesses. They just do. They want to see what you're doing day to day and what you're getting up to and kind of the wider side of your business. And this does mean getting your face on the camera. And I know that no one wants to hear that unless you're very, very confident in getting your face out there. Lots of people don't like to do it, but it is the absolute best way of really engaging with your audience. People want to understand who you are and they want to get to know you. And the best way to actually convert someone into a customer is for them to know you, like you, and trust you. And the best way to do that is actually speak to them face to face so that you can get across your personality, who you are. And yeah, it is the best way of converting people into customers. So although at the beginning it might feel really difficult and you know, you might feel really awkward and really embarrassed doing it, just do it, and it gets easier every single time. So another thing that you can do is that you can showcase an event or a trade show. So if you are at kind of an industry event, or if you're running at a market or something like that, you know, give people a walk around so they can get a feel of what's going on, show who else is there, tag in other businesses, maybe they'll share your content, you'll reach their audience. Being as interactive as you possibly can, and just kind of giving people an insight into a world that they're maybe not a part of can really be helpful. So you've created your content, and now you need to create an engaging caption to go with it. So what are the things that you need to consider? So get the important things across first. So Instagram will only show a certain amount of copy before it cuts it off. So get those really important things across first. Make sure you're including a call to action. So what do you want people to do from that post? Do you want them to tag a friend? Do you want them to share it? Do you want them to like it? Whatever you want them to do, or maybe you want them to contact you or click a link in your bio, whatever it is, make sure that you give that call to action so that there's a purpose to your post. Speaking as a friend is really important. Instagram is, in general, a really friendly, welcoming community. And I've definitely seen that amongst the Handmade Hour community, that everyone is so supportive of each other and so friendly and kind. Make sure that you just have that tone of voice in your posts. And don't be afraid to use a few emojis, because they can just kind of liven up a post and make it a little bit more lighthearted. And do not forget to add your hashtags. So you can add your hashtags into the main part of the post. So what I sometimes do is use some sort of full stops, maybe go down 5 lines and then put the hashtags in, or you can put them into your first comment. So ask your audience for their input. People love being involved and they want to feel like they're a part of your business. So if you ask for their input, not only are you going to do better in your business because you're giving your customers what they want, but they will also feel like they are a part of your business and be more inclined to buy from you. People always want to feel involved. So we discussed this earlier, but you can run a poll. You can ask for advice on product development. So say you were choosing colors between something, why not ask your audience which colors they prefer? And ask them what they want to see more of from your Instagram. Maybe they love seeing behind the scenes content, or maybe they love seeing new products that you're bringing out. Make sure that you engage with them so that you can get to know what they want to see more of. And also ask about them. Ask what's going on in their lives. And so go out there and follow your audience. We discussed how you can find them. When you do find them, follow them. And if they follow you, follow them back. So there's this amazing thing called the law of reciprocity, which I always find really hard to say, that if you do something nice for someone, they'll have this overwhelming urge to do something nice back. So if you follow someone, they will want to follow you back. So this is a great thing to do with your kind of ideal followers. And that is if they were interested in your content. So you have to create that right content first, so that when they land on your page, they actually see brilliant content that engages them. So you can't follow everyone back, but make sure you go through, and if they're people who are your ideal audience members, then engage with them. You'll definitely add value to each other. But remember, although it is a social network, it is also your business. So interact with your audience and take an interest. These people are people who are interested in your business, so it is highly likely you're going to be interested in them and their lives. So it's not going to be difficult to do this. But make sure that you are kind of commenting, liking, sharing their content, as you want them to do the same for you. Join in on a conversation. So for kind of craftspeople, something like Handmade Hour is amazing because it's a whole community of people supporting each other, and there are so many conversations going on there. It's just brilliant. And you'll also find, you know, a lot of clients there, a lot of customers, because in general, people who are interested in handmade things will buy from each other because they're interested in each other's products. So join in that conversation and find those accounts where those people are chatting and talking and where the conversations are happening. And engage with your audience by liking, commenting, you know, sharing their content. And do this every day if that's possible for you to do. It's always good to be in the mix and be interacting with people as far as you possibly can. But make sure it is in a meaningful way. So share knowledge, share kind words, kind thoughts, and make sure they are of interest to your audience. And just stay authentic, stay true to who you are, and just don't deviate from that. So if someone follows you, a really good opportunity is to send them, it's the perfect opportunity to send them a direct message and start a conversation. So say hello when someone follows you, thank them for following you, and remark on something interesting you've seen in your profile, because then they'll know you've actually taken the time to have a look at their profile and that you're interested in them too. And take the opportunity to tell them a little bit more about your business, and you can even give them an exclusive offer. So DMs are really important. You'll probably have noticed that when you log into Instagram, you'll see the stories of people who you interact with a lot first. That's because Instagram prioritizes people that you have a relationship with. So talking to someone in the DMs shows to Instagram that you actually have a relationship. So it's really important to be starting those conversations so that you start appearing in people's stories more frequently. Send a voice note. Now, you might think that I sound like a crazy person and this is really creepy, but if anyone has spoken to me, they will know that I love to send a voice note. So I just think it's a really good way of making you seem like a real person, you know, you have a voice. You're a genuine human being. You're not a robot behind a computer. I think it's a genuine and unexpected nice gesture. I think people like to receive a voice note. If it's someone who has followed you or someone who you have maybe been speaking to before, not totally out of the blue. But sometimes it's a lot easier to explain things through a voice note. So people who work with me will know if I get asked a question, I'll often send a voice note or a video back to try and explain it, because sometimes it's just much simpler than trying to explain it over text. And it is a lot quicker. And this is the other thing. So we were just talking about the Instagram algorithm, but again, sending a voice note shows Instagram you have a close relationship with someone, because to send a voice note, Instagram would assume that you are close with that person. That then says to the algorithm that you're close, and it should prioritize showing your content to that person. So that brings me to the end of this session. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. If you want to contact me in the future, you can go to my website, which is outlandacademy.com. You can contact me by DM at Outland Academy, or my other account, which is at Sarah_Outland, or you can email me at sarah@outlandacademy.com. And I think we will go to some questions now. So I'm just going to try and unmute. Owen, are you unmuted?
I've done it. Sarah, thank you so much for that. That was brilliant. I've made pages and pages of notes.
Oh, have you? Brilliant.
I'm sure everybody else has as well. Yeah, there's a few questions there. So shall I just let you go through them? And...
Actually, I can't actually see them yet, so I need to
okay.
just stop sharing my screen to do that. Okay, right. Okay, oh my goodness. Okay, there are loads where I'm going to scroll up. So, when changing to a business account on Instagram, am I a creator or a business? I make different types of bags. I guess I'm a creator. Yeah, so I would suggest changing it to a business account, just because with a business account, you just have all of the functions that you need to be able to run ads, you get the insights, it just gives you everything you need. So I always suggest that you use a business account personally. How do I share a feed story? So to share a feed story, you go onto that story. I'll do it as I'm speaking so that I get all of the steps right. So if you want to share a feed story, when you're looking at the story, you'll see kind of what looks like a paper aeroplane. You can click onto that and then it will come up and the top option will be add post to your story. Click into that and it will bring it into your story. If you click it again, it will then show you a different option that will show the account it's from and a bit more information. And that's how you do that. I'm just going to have a quick drink because I feel like I've been talking so much. For everyone who's still there, thank you for sticking with it.
No, it's been really good.
So how do you find influencers? If you use Facebook Business Manager, can you specify what you want to advertise on Instagram? So how do you find influencers first? Well, again, it's about doing research into your audience. So really understanding who your audience are, and you'll see lots of your audience members will be following certain people. And once you get to know your audience, it will just become very clear. You'll find people who have quite a large following who are posting about everything that your audience are interested in. And from there, you will be able to reach out and work with them. What was the second part of that question? If you use Facebook Business Manager, yes. So if you use Facebook Business Manager, you use that to manage your Instagram ads. So you don't have to, just because it's called Facebook Business Manager, Facebook owns Instagram. So you can select where your ads show. So you can show only ads on Instagram and not on Facebook. I started an IG ad on Sunday night. This is the first time I've manually selected an audience. I haven't seen a lot of results. So the first time I ran an ad, I used the automatic audience section, had a lot of likes, but no other engagement. I think that's the thing with boosting a post. You can potentially get a lot of likes, but really, we refer to that as kind of vanity metrics. What do you achieve from that? I would say the only reason you would do that is if you want to get a lot of likes, if you then want to promote that post in the future so that it already has some social proof on it, so then people are more likely to engage. Like I said before, I would just really work on understanding your audience before running any kind of ads, and I would really understand how to use Facebook Business Manager and not just run them through Instagram, just because you don't get that really targeted. Although you can add targeting, it's not the same as running it through Facebook Business Manager. With Facebook Business Manager, you could run 3 different types of creative with different copy, and you can actually see what's working and target different audiences. It's just a much better way of working, and I think that you can waste a lot of money on Instagram ads if you don't know what you're doing. I'm new to Instagram. Can you explain a little about stories, please? How often should you do them and what should be in them? So with stories, they can really be whatever you like. I would suggest trying to run stories each day so that you're appearing and you're present, and so that your audience can get to know you. And what should be in them? I mean, it's the same as, you know, those things that I ran through of shareable content and things that are interesting to people, sharing behind the scenes what you're up to, sharing your products, just talking about your life really, and just giving your audience the real opportunity to get to know who you are and a bit about you. And you know, actually showing up, showing your face on camera, although people don't like to do it. Once you start doing it, you get used to it. And if you have a think about the accounts that you really engage with and you like to follow, I'm sure lots of them will be people who actually talk to the camera, and that's for a reason. So I suggest, yeah, getting in front of the camera and talking, and it gets easier once you start doing it. Do you have any advice for setting up Instagram shopping? I was rejected over a year ago, but cannot find a way to appeal. So Instagram shopping is a bit of a nightmare. There are lots of rules and so many reasons that you can be rejected. I was actually speaking to someone from the Handmade Hour community before, because their Instagram shopping had been rejected. And when I looked into it, it's actually, there are so many reasons. And one of the really silly reasons is because if you think of it as an automated system, sometimes you can be rejected on the words that you're using in your product titles. So this particular lady was doing, I think they were cards and they had animals on them. They were illustrations of animals on cards and things like that. If you use dog or cat or something like that on Instagram, in your titles of your products, Instagram will just read that as you're selling a cat or a dog, and you won't be approved. So it can be something as simple as that. There is a way to appeal, which if you, I won't go into it on here because it's quite complicated, but if you contact me separately, I can explain how to do it. But what I suggest doing is, if you have been rejected, you need to change your profile back to being a personal profile, then go back to being a business profile before you kind of try and do it all over again, making sure you stick to all of the rules, because that's kind of the best way I've found of getting around it, because it can be quite tricky. Are there specific times of day that are best to post stories and post to your feed? So for feed posts, it depends really on the industry you're in and what your audience are doing and who they are. The best thing to do is really to post and see what works best. You can actually look at insights and see when you're getting the most amount of followers and actually when you're getting the most amount of engagement with your posts. But it is quite unique to each business really. You will get more engagement usually in the evenings, rather than, I mean, there's a time in the middle of the day when it's a bit kind of like no man's land. But again, it really depends on who your audience are. How do you send an automated message to followers? So I don't suggest you do anything like sending any kind of automated messages to anyone. The thing is that now more than ever, Instagram is all about being authentic. They've really cracked down on any kind of automation, bots, anything like that. There used to be a lot of things people would do to kind of automatically like and comment and do lots of things like that and send automated messages. Instagram doesn't like that, and you risk being blocked or shadow blocked, or just, you really don't want to be doing anything like that. So just, you want to be sending a personal message on Instagram. How do you send a voice note? So you can just send it from, instead of typing, you'll see there's a little microphone, and you can just hold down the microphone and record it and send it, which is something I just love to do. Amazing insight, thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I part own a shopping website and we are just getting to grips with business Insta rather than personal. Yeah, it's a bit of a change moving over to the business Insta, but I just think it gives you so much more insight, so it's really worth doing. How do you change to a business account? So I can do it on here now so that I can run you through it. So if you go to your home screen, so you're looking at your account, and then you go into settings, and then you scroll down, and it should be in blue at the bottom, switch to business account, and you can switch from there, and it will take you through a step-by-step process. But if you get stuck with anything, you can just send me a DM and I'll help you through it. Oh, you're welcome, Lindsay. I have, as a handmade business, is it beneficial to have your own website that you can direct social media followers to? I would say it's always beneficial to have your own website. The thing is with something like Etsy, Etsy is brilliant because you can reach a whole audience of people. So if you think about it, Etsy is spending a lot of money on bringing in traffic to the business. If you have a website, you all need to drive that traffic yourself. But if you are working on gaining traffic through Instagram and you're sending it out there, then that is definitely one of the best things that you can do. What you want to do is you want to turn people who are coming to your website into, you want to kind of, I don't know how to say it in a better way, but you want to own them. Mm-hmm. So you want to gain an email address for them so that you can then communicate with them in the future. With something like Etsy, they are very much owned by that platform. So yeah, it's definitely worth having your own website for sure. And there's also so much that you can do in terms of the customer journey on your own website. Right. Where is the microphone to send the voice note? So if you go into message someone, if you just click message, and then at the bottom, kind of next to the bar, the long bar at the bottom, you can just see the microphone and you just hold it down. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Yeah, so if does anyone have any more questions to ask? I think we've got through them.
Yeah.
If there are more questions? Yeah, I mean, if there are any more questions that anyone has, you can contact me via my Instagram. Oh,
a couple more coming in there.
Okay. Yeah,
Do you have to be a registered business to have a business account?
No, you don't. You can just change it over. That's no problem. I use Linktree to have different options for people to go to my bio. Do you think this works? Adding too many steps. No, I think that Linktree is really good. I think that it can help people get to the right place, and I think it's really good for the customer journey to get people into the right place. I think if you were doing something at a specific point in time where you wanted to say link in bio and you wanted no other distractions, you could just temporarily maybe change it back to just that one link. But I actually think Linktree is really useful in getting people to the right place.
Yeah, can I just jump in there? One thing we always recommend to people who take part in our virtual fairs is to get rid of a Linktree and go have the link straight to your shop, yeah. Whether that's a website or whether that's Etsy. So it's minimizing those clicks, isn't it, for the customer journey? Yeah, so
definitely. I think it serves a really good purpose in the kind of usual journey, but if you are doing something really specific, take it out and just get people straight there. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Nice to hear that people are enjoying it.
Yeah, it's been really good.
Was there anything else? I think that was all of the questions. So if anyone have any more questions, just feel free to contact me on my account, Outland_Academy, or Sarah_Outland.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thanks for joining us, folks. I'm sure you've got something out of that, because I have. As I say, I've made so many notes, it's unbelievable. So there's lots of homework there for you, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
If there's no more questions, or even if there is questions, you've got Sarah's details now, so you can always contact her directly. We will be popping out the slides with your contact details on, and the video of the recording, so you can go back through and watch it at your own leisure. But thank you so much, everyone. It's been absolutely amazing.
Yeah, thank you so